I never imagined that my journey to success and happiness would lead me down such an extraordinary path. As I sit here reflecting on the incredible discoveries I've made, I can't help but feel a sense of wonder and gratitude for the transformative power of changing one's mind. My story began like many others, a corporate drone, outwardly successful but inwardly unfulfilled. I had everything society told me I should want, yet I felt an inexplicable void. Little did I know that the key to filling that void lay within my own consciousness. It started with a whisper, a subtle voice from my subconscious that I initially dismissed, but as I learned to listen, that whisper grew louder, guiding me towards practices that would revolutionize my life. I discovered the profound impact of dream journaling, meditation, and mindfulness. These weren't just New Age fads. They were gateways to a deeper understanding of myself and the world around me. One of the most exciting discoveries was the power of ritual. Creating a sacred space for my practice and dedicating time each day to self-reflection. It became a cornerstone of my transformation. It wasn't always easy. I faced setbacks and moments of doubt. But even these challenges, I came to realize, were integral parts of my growth. Perhaps the biggest revelation was the concept of transmutology, a set of principles that connected my individual consciousness to the vast cosmic mind. This wasn't just about positive thinking or manifestation. It was about fundamentally altering my relationship with reality itself. As I worked further into these practices, I noticed profound changes, not just in my mindset, but in my everyday life. Opportunities seemed to appear out of nowhere. Relationships deepened, and I found myself approaching challenges with a new sense of clarity and purpose. Read on, dear reader. Chapter 1. The Workaday World. I awoke to the familiar chime of my alarm, another day in the corporate labyrinth awaiting me. As I donned my crisp suit and knotted my tie with practiced precision, I caught a glimpse of myself in the mirror. Success stared back at me, tailored clothes, manicured appearance, the very picture of a rising executive. Yet something lurked behind my eyes, a shadow I couldn't quite name. The routine was so ingrained, so automatic that I barely registered the motions. Each button fastened, each strand of hair combed into place was a step further into the persona I had crafted. I was Richard Barstow, the achiever, the go-getter, the man who had it all figured out. Or so I thought. As I adjusted my cufflinks, a gift from the company for my last promotion, I pondered the day ahead, meetings, presentations, networking, the dance of corporate success. I had mastered the steps, but lately the music felt off-key. There was a dissonance growing within me, a quiet rebellion against the very success I had worked so hard to attain. I took a deep breath, centering myself in the present moment. I am successful, I affirmed to my reflection. I am accomplished. The words rang true, and yet incomplete. There was more to me, more to life than this polished exterior and carefully curated career. As I turned away from the mirror, I couldn't shake the feeling that today might be the day I finally began to explore what that more could be. The commute to the office passed in a blur of traffic and hurried faces. I strode through the lobby, exchanging perfunctory greetings with colleagues. My corner office welcomed me with its panoramic view of the city skyline, a testament to my climb up the corporate ladder. "Another stellar quarter, Richard," my boss remarked during our morning meeting. "Keep this up, and that VP position is as good as yours." I nodded, accepting the praise with a practiced smile, but as I sat through endless meetings and conference calls, a nagging sensation gnawed at me. Was this truly all there was to life: spreadsheets, profit margins, and boardroom politics. Lunch found me at my usual spot, a high-end bistro frequented by the city's elite. As I mechanically forked salad into my mouth, my gaze fell on an elderly couple at a nearby table. They held hands, lost in conversation, eyes twinkling with shared joy, a pang of something. Longing? Envy? Shot through me. I paused, fork suspended midair, as I observed their effortless connection. The woman's laughter, soft and melodious, carried across the room, a stark contrast to the muted business discussions surrounding us. Her companion leaned in, hanging on her every word, his weathered face etched with lines of happiness. In that moment, I realized how long it had been since I'd experienced such genuine human connection. My days were filled with networking and strategic alliances, but when was the last time I'd simply enjoyed someone's company? The realization settled heavily in my chest, a weight far greater than the light salad before me. I found myself wondering, in my relentless pursuit of success, what truly meaningful experiences had I left behind? Back at the office, I pored over reports, my mind drifting, a quiet voice whispering from deep within, barely audible above the din of ringing phones and clacking keyboards. There's more to life than this. I shook my head, dismissing the thought, yet it persisted, a faint echo growing stronger with each passing hour. As I packed up to leave, my assistant popped his head in. "Great job on the Henderson account, sir. You're really making waves." I mumbled some thanks, but his words rang hollow. Outside, the city pulsed with life as I made my way home. A street musician's soulful melody stopped me in my tracks. For a moment, I stood transfixed, the music stirring something long dormant within me. That night, as I lay in bed surrounded by the trappings of my success, sleep eluded me. The quiet voice grew louder, impossible to ignore. Is this truly your purpose? Is there not more to discover, to become? I tossed and turned, my mind racing with possibilities I had long since buried beneath spreadsheets and quarterly reports. The silk sheets, once a symbol of achievement, now felt suffocating. I closed my eyes, willing sleep to come, but instead found myself face to face with a version of Richard Barstow I barely recognized, a man yearning for something beyond the confines of his corner office. The street lamp's glow filtered through the curtains, casting shadows that danced like the forgotten dreams of my youth. In that moment of stillness, I felt a stirring in my soul, a gentle nudge towards a truth I had always known, but never dared to embrace fully. I tossed and turned, unable to silence the growing awareness that despite all I had achieved, something vital was missing from my life. Chapter 2. The Awakening. I jolted awake, my heart pounding against my ribcage like a frantic drummer. The wisps of my dream, once so vivid and tangible, now dissipated like morning mist, leaving me grasping at ephemeral fragments. This had become an all too familiar scenario over the past few weeks, a nightly dance with elusive revelations that seemed to mock me come daybreak. As I lay there, my mind racing to reassemble the fragmented pieces of my nocturnal vision, I couldn't shake the overwhelming sensation that I was teetering on the precipice of something truly monumental. It was as if the very fabric of the universe was reaching out to me, gently caressing my subconscious with its cosmic fingers, whispering profound truths into the deepest recesses of my being. Yet, with each passing second, these ethereal messages seemed to slip farther away like sand through an hourglass, leaving me grasping at wisps of understanding that danced just beyond my reach. The frustration was palpable, but beneath it stirred an excitement, a knowing that I was on the verge of unlocking a hidden potential within myself, if only I could decipher the cryptic language of my dreams. Throughout each day, this nagging feeling of having missed a vital piece of information dogged my every step. It was like carrying an unsolved puzzle in my pocket, the weight of its incompleteness a constant reminder of the mysteries that lay just beyond my reach. I found myself yearning for nightfall, hoping that this time I might finally grasp the elusive message that seemed so determined to escape me. Determined to unravel this mystery, I decided to take action. One evening, I stopped by a bookstore on my way home and purchased a leather-bound journal. Its weight in my hands felt significant, as if it held the key to unlocking the secrets of my subconscious. Placing the journal on my nightstand, I made a commitment to myself. From now on, I would record every fragment, every fleeting image, every whisper of a dream I could recall upon waking. No matter how nonsensical or trivial it might seem, I would write it down. The first few mornings were frustrating. I'd open my eyes, reach for the journal, and find my mind blank. But I persevered, jotting down even the vaguest impressions. Something about water, I wrote one day. A door that wouldn't open on another. Gradually, I began to remember more. One morning, I furiously scribbled about a dream where I stood at a crossroads, each path stretching endlessly into different landscapes. Another entry described a recurring dream of flying, not with wings, but through sheer force of will. As the pages filled, patterns emerged. Themes of choice, freedom, and untapped potential wove through my nocturnal adventures. I found myself looking forward to bedtime, eager to explore this new inner world. One particularly vivid dream stood out, etching itself into my consciousness with startling clarity. I found myself in my office, but it was unlike any workspace I'd inhabited before. The walls, once solid and opaque, had transformed into sheets of pristine glass. Through these transparent barriers, I beheld a world of breathtaking beauty and vitality. Colors more vivid than any I'd seen in waking life danced and swirled, painting a landscape of infinite possibility. Trees swayed with an almost sentient grace, their leaves shimmering with an inner light. People moved about with purpose and joy, their faces alight with the spark of true passion. Yet, inside my glass cage, everything was drained of color and life. The familiar trappings of my professional life, my desk, my chair, my computer, all appeared in shades of lifeless gray. Even my own skin seemed ashen and dull. I pressed my palms against the cool surface of the glass, feeling the weight of my confinement. The irony wasn't lost on me. I was separated from that vibrant world by the thinnest of barriers. Yet it might as well have been an impenetrable fortress. As I stood there, my breath fogging the glass, a profound realization washed over me. The key to my liberation wasn't hidden or held by some external force. It rested within me, waiting to be acknowledged and used. This dream, I understood, was more than just a nocturnal fantasy. It was a message from my deeper self, urging me to recognize my own power to transform my reality. I found myself eagerly anticipating each morning, my hand reaching for the journal before my eyes had fully opened. The act of recording my dreams became a sacred ritual, a bridge between the mysterious realm of sleep and the waking world. As I filled page after page with vivid descriptions and half-remembered fragments, I noticed a subtle shift in my perception. Colors seemed more vibrant, scents more nuanced. The world around me took on a richer texture, as if my heightened awareness of my inner landscape had sharpened my external senses as well. One morning, as I sat at my desk sipping coffee, I caught myself smiling at the play of sunlight on my computer screen. It was a simple moment, yet it filled me with an inexplicable sense of joy and belonging. I realized that this journey into my subconscious had awakened something long dormant within me, a childlike wonder at the world and my place in it. My colleagues noticed the change too. "You seem different lately, Richard," my assistant remarked one day. "More present." I merely nodded, unsure how to explain that I was finally beginning to feel truly alive. As the weeks passed, my dreams grew more vivid and complex. I found myself exploring vast libraries filled with books in languages I couldn't read, yet somehow understood. I soared over cityscapes that morphed and shifted beneath me, each building seeming to pulse with its own inner life. The act of deciphering these nocturnal messages became an obsession, albeit a deeply satisfying one. I pored over my initial journal entries, searching for patterns and hidden meanings. Sometimes a snippet of a dream would provide unexpected insight into a work problem or a personal dilemma. Other times, the messages seemed more cryptic, hinting at deeper truths just beyond my grasp. This routine of self-reflection and dream analysis awakened a wellspring of inventiveness I never knew I had. At the office, concepts came to me with greater ease, and I tackled obstacles with fresh vigor and imaginative approaches. It was as if my nocturnal journeys had unlocked hidden chambers of creativity within my mind. I found myself proposing solutions that surprised even me, drawing connections between seemingly unrelated ideas with a fluidity I'd never experienced before. My colleagues began to take notice, commenting on my newfound energy and innovative thinking. I felt a sense of alignment between my dream world and waking life, as if the two realms were working in harmony to propel me forward on my personal and professional path. As my fascination with dreams deepened, I found myself drawn to bookstores, like a moth to flame. The scent of paper and ink became a comforting balm, and I'd spend hours browsing shelves, fingertips tracing spines, in search of hidden wisdom. One lazy Sunday afternoon, as golden sunlight streamed through the bookstore's dusty windows, I stumbled upon a section I'd never noticed before. "Meditation and Mindfulness," the sign read in elegant flowing script. My curiosity piqued. I found myself drawn to explore this uncharted territory of knowledge. Intrigued, I pulled out a slim volume titled The Silent Mind. Its cover a soothing shade of deep blue. As I flipped through its pages, the familiar scent of paper mingling with the promise of new wisdom, a sense of excitement bubbling up within me. The words seemed to dance off the page, speaking directly to my soul. Could this be the key, I wondered? The missing piece to unlocking even deeper insights from my dreams? A shiver of anticipation ran down my spine as I realized I might be on the cusp of a breakthrough in my nocturnal explorations. I left the bookstore with an armful of books on meditation, eager to dive in. That evening, I settled into my favorite armchair and attempted my first meditation session. I closed my eyes, focused on my breath, and immediately felt like I was drowning in a sea of thoughts. Work deadlines, grocery lists, random snippets of songs, my mind seemed determined to throw every distraction possible at me. Frustration welled up, threatening to overwhelm me. Was I doing it wrong? Maybe I wasn't cut out for this after all. I took a deep breath, trying to center myself, but the cacophony in my head only grew louder. The gentle ticking of the clock on the wall became a thunderous drumbeat, each second mocking my failed attempts at inner peace. I caught myself peeking at the clock, dismayed to see only 2 minutes had passed. This was going to be harder than I thought. But then, a small voice inside reminded me that all great journeys begin with a single step. Perhaps this struggle was simply part of the process, a necessary hurdle on the path to enlightenment. With renewed determination, I closed my eyes once more, ready to face the chaos within. But as I continued to practice both meditation and dream journaling, something began to shift within me. It was a subtle change at first, like the gradual brightening of dawn. I realized that the thoughts weren't the enemy. They were simply part of the process, messengers from my subconscious mind. Instead of fighting them, I learned to acknowledge them gently and let them drift away like clouds in a vast sky of consciousness. This newfound acceptance brought a sense of peace I hadn't experienced before. The more I embraced this approach, the easier it became to sink into the depths of my being, where true wisdom resided. Each session became an adventure, an opportunity to explore the limitless landscape of my inner world. My journal became a trusted companion in this journey, a silent confidant that bore witness to my inner transformation. I'd write about my meditation experiences along with my dream records, noting the subtle changes in my awareness with a sense of wonder and curiosity. Some days the words flowed effortlessly from my pen as if a higher wisdom was guiding my hand. I'd find myself surprised by the insights that emerged on the page, often learning as much from the act of writing as I did from the experiences themselves. Other times I'd sit in silence, pen poised above paper, simply observing the ebb and flow of my thoughts. These moments of stillness were just as valuable as the periods of inspired writing. I learned to appreciate the blank spaces, recognizing that they too held meaning, a reflection of the vast potential that exists in the quiet recesses of our minds. Through this practice, my journal evolved into more than just a record of events. It became a living, breathing testament to my spiritual growth, a map charting the unexplored territories of my consciousness. Gradually, I found myself approaching both practices with a sense of calm assurance. The worries that had initially plagued me faded into the background. Whether I was sitting in meditation or scribbling in my journal, I began to trust the process, knowing that each moment was valuable, regardless of the outcome. This newfound acceptance spilled over into other areas of my life. I noticed myself responding to workplace challenges with greater equanimity, finding creative solutions where before I might have felt stuck. As I continued my journey of self-discovery, I felt as if I was emerging from a long, dreamless sleep. The world around me, once muted and gray, now pulsed with vibrant colors and endless possibilities. It was as if I'd been living my life with a veil over my eyes, and suddenly that veil had been lifted. The corporate world I'd known for so long began to feel like a distant memory, a fading photograph of a life I'd once lived. In its place, a new landscape unfurled before me, rich with potential and brimming with opportunities I'd never before imagined. My senses seemed heightened, attuned to the subtle rhythms of the universe. The rustling of leaves in the wind, the play of sunlight on water, the intricate patterns in a spider's web, all these things I'd overlooked before now filled me with wonder and awe. It was as if I was seeing the world for the first time, truly seeing it in all its magnificent complexity. My interactions with others took on new depth and meaning. I found myself truly listening, not just waiting for my turn to speak. I began to see the divine spark in every person I met, recognizing that each individual was on their own unique path, just as I was on mine. The monotonous routine that had once defined my days gave way to a sense of limitless possibility. Each morning I woke with a sense of anticipation, eager to see what new insights the day might bring. My work, once a source of stress and tedium, became an opportunity for growth and self-expression. I felt as if I'd been given a new pair of eyes, ones that could see beyond the surface of things to the deeper truths that lay beneath. The world was no longer a place of fixed rules and rigid expectations, but a vast playground of potential, waiting to be explored. This awakening wasn't always easy. There were moments of doubt, times when the old patterns of thinking tried to reassert themselves. But even in those challenging moments, I felt more alive than I ever had before. The struggles became opportunities for growth, each obstacle a chance to apply my newfound wisdom and strength. As I went deeper into my meditation and journaling practices, I began to see them as a grand voyage of discovery, an expedition into the uncharted territories of my own mind. Each session felt like stepping onto a new shore, filled with wonder and potential. The insights I gained, the subtle shifts in my perception, they were like precious gems I'd unearthed from the depths of my consciousness. At first, I was bursting with excitement, eager to share my newfound wisdom with anyone who would listen. The revelations I had uncovered through my introspective practices felt like precious treasures, and I longed to distribute them generously to all who crossed my path. But as I opened my mouth to tell a colleague about my latest breakthrough, I hesitated. The words felt too personal, too sacred, to be casually tossed into conversation. They were delicate, like gossamer threads of insight, and I feared they might unravel if exposed too soon to the harsh light of day. I realized that these experiences were uniquely mine, tailored to my own journey of self-discovery. They were intimate whispers from my inner self, not meant for casual small talk around the water cooler. This knowledge was a gift, yes, but one that needed to be nurtured and understood fully before I could hope to articulate it to others in a meaningful way. I thought back to the countless times I'd been cornered by well-meaning friends peddling the latest self-help fad or miracle diet, the glazed look in their eyes, the forced politeness of my responses. I didn't want to become that person. My discoveries were becoming too precious, too integral to my being to risk having them dismissed or ridiculed. So, I made a conscious decision to keep quiet about my new practices. When friends asked how I was doing, I'd smile and give a vague answer about trying new things. If they pressed further, I'd gently steer the conversation in another direction. It wasn't about being secretive. It was about protecting this fragile, new part of myself that was still growing, still finding its footing. In a way, this self-imposed silence added another layer to my journey. It forced me to internalize my experiences more deeply, to find validation within myself, rather than seeking it from others. My inner world became a sanctuary, a place where I could explore and grow without fear of judgment or interference. Chapter 3. Building a Practice. In time, I found myself drawn to the comforting rhythm of daily rituals. The act of journaling my dreams and setting aside time for meditation became anchors in my day, grounding me in a way I'd never experienced before. Each morning I'd wake up and reach for my dream journal, eager to capture the fleeting wisps of nighttime visions before they dissipated. The simple act of putting pen to paper felt almost sacred, a bridge between my conscious and subconscious mind. As I wrote, I noticed my attention sharpening, my awareness expanding. Meditation, once a daunting prospect, became a welcome respite from the chaos of daily life. I started small, just 5 minutes a day, focusing on my breath. At first, my mind raced, thoughts tumbling over each other like leaves in a storm, but gradually, I learned to observe these thoughts without judgment. The benefits were immediate and profound. I found myself more present in my daily life, more attuned to the world around me. Colors seemed brighter, flavors more intense. I began to notice the small miracles that surrounded me, the intricate pattern of veins in a leaf, the way sunlight danced on water, the subtle shifts of the air before a rainstorm. As I embraced these practices, I discovered the power of mindfulness, a transformative force that reshaped my entire existence. I learned to bring my full attention to each moment, whether I was eating a meal, savoring every texture and flavor, walking in nature, feeling the earth beneath my feet and the breeze on my skin, or engaged in conversation, truly listening with my whole being. This simple shift in awareness transformed even the most mundane tasks into opportunities for growth and insight, revealing hidden depths in experiences I had previously taken for granted. I found myself marveling at the intricate dance of life unfolding around me, from the bustling rhythm of city streets to the quiet whisper of leaves in a forest. Each interaction, no matter how brief, became a chance to connect more deeply with others and with myself. As I cultivated this heightened state of presence, I began to notice subtle patterns and synchronicities that I had previously overlooked, guiding me towards a more authentic and fulfilling path. My journey into meditation wasn't always smooth. There were days when sitting still felt impossible, when my mind refused to quiet. But I learned to approach these challenges with compassion and patience, understanding that they too were part of the process. Alongside these practices, I began to explore the power of positive thinking. I started small, catching myself when negative thoughts arose and gently redirecting my focus. Instead of dwelling on what could go wrong, I trained myself to consider what might go right. I replaced self-criticism with self-compassion, treating myself with the same kindness I'd extend to a dear friend. As my journey of self-discovery deepened, I felt an undeniable urge to create a sacred space within my home, a sanctuary where I could fully immerse myself in meditation and journaling. I surveyed my apartment, searching for the perfect nook to transform into my personal retreat. I settled on a quiet corner of my living room, bathed in soft morning light. With reverence, I cleared the area, removing clutter and unnecessary furniture. I wanted this space to embody simplicity and tranquility. I chose a plush cushion for meditation, its deep purple color reminiscent of twilight skies. Beside it, I placed a small, low table of polished wood, its surface perfect for holding my journal and a candle. Carefully, I selected meaningful objects to adorn this space. A smooth river stone I'd collected on a solitary hike found its place on the table, its cool surface, a tactile reminder of nature's constancy. A small statue of Buddha, a gift from a dear friend, sat serenely nearby, embodying the peace I sought. I hung a cloth print on the wall, its delicate mandala design, drawing the eye and calming the mind. The soft fabric added warmth to the space, making it feel inviting. A shelf above held my growing collection of inspirational books, their spines a rainbow of wisdom waiting to be explored. I placed a small potted plant next to them, its vibrant green leaves bringing life and energy to the space. As I stood back and surveyed my creation, a sense of pride and accomplishment washed over me. This wasn't just a corner of my apartment anymore. It was a reflection of my inner world, a physical manifestation of my commitment to growth and self-discovery. Each morning, as I approached this sacred space, I felt a shift in my energy. The simple act of sitting on my meditation cushion or opening my journal in this carefully curated environment seemed to deepen my practice. The familiar objects around me became anchors, grounding me in the present moment and inviting me to explore the depths of my consciousness. I'd settled into a comfortable routine, balancing my corporate job with my newfound spiritual practices. Life felt harmonious, purposeful. Then, without warning, the rug was pulled from under my feet. The news hit like a sledgehammer. Our entire department, myself included, was being laid off. Budget cuts, they said. Restructuring. The words rang hollow in my ears as I packed up my desk. Years of work reduced to a cardboard box. A knot formed in my throat as I looked around at the shell-shocked faces of my colleagues, friends who had become like family. In that moment, the illusion of security shattered. I realized how attached I had become to the temporary trappings of the material world. Suddenly, all the progress I'd made seemed to crumble. The inner voice that had guided me so steadily fell silent, drowned out by a cacophony of doubt and fear. What if I'd been fooling myself all along? What if this spiritual journey was just a distraction from reality? I tried to maintain my daily rituals, but they felt hollow. Sitting on my meditation cushion, I couldn't find that sense of peace anymore. My mind raced with worries about bills, job applications, and an uncertain future. The mandala on my wall once a source of inspiration, now seemed to mock me with its perfect symmetry. My journal lay unopened on the small wooden table. Every time I reached for it, my hand froze midair. What could I possibly write? That I'd failed? That all my growth meant nothing in the face of real-world problems? Days turned into weeks. My sacred space gathered dust as I spent hours hunched over my laptop, frantically searching for job openings. The plant on my bookshelf wilted, mirroring my own withering spirit. I couldn't understand why I'd lost my ability to connect with my inner voice. It had been so clear, so present before. Now, when I needed it most, it was frustratingly out of reach. Had it all been a fantasy? A coping mechanism for a life I was dissatisfied with? The worst part was the shame. I felt like a fraud, a hypocrite, unable to live up to my own teachings. Here I was, unable to practice what I'd begun to preach to myself. The tools I discovered, the meditation, the journaling, the affirmations, they all seemed useless in the face of this crushing crisis. How could I have been so naive to think that such simple practices could fully prepare me for the harsh realities and challenges of the real world? My confidence was shattered, my self-belief in tatters. If I couldn't rely on my own methods to get me through tough times, what was the point of it all? The doubts and insecurities I thought I'd banished came flooding back, mocking me for my foolish optimism. A year slipped by in a haze of disappointment and self-doubt. My once cherished meditation cushion gathered dust in the corner, a silent reminder of a path I'd abandoned. The spiritual awakening I'd experienced felt like a distant dream, fading with each passing day. I landed a new job, but it was a far cry from my previous position. The shame of the demotion weighed heavily on me. Each morning, I'd force myself out of bed, dreading the monotony that awaited me. My new colleagues were friendly enough, but I couldn't shake the feeling that I didn't belong. "Hey, Richard, can you make copies of these reports?" my supervisor asked, dropping a stack of papers on my desk. I nodded, swallowing my pride. This wasn't where I'd imagined myself a year ago. As I stood at the copy machine, my mind drifted to the meditation sessions and journal entries that once filled my evenings. They seemed so pointless now, like childish fantasies I'd indulged in. The messages from my subconscious that had once felt so profound now seemed like nothing more than random thoughts, meaningless in the face of real-world challenges. I'd tried to recall them a few times, hoping to recapture that sense of purpose, but it was like grasping at smoke. My apartment, once a sanctuary for self-discovery, had become just another place to crash after a long day of unfulfilling work. The books on spirituality and self-improvement that lined my shelves now felt like mockeries of my naivete. One evening, as I microwaved a frozen dinner, I caught sight of my reflection in the kitchen window. I barely recognized the man staring back at me. Where was the spark of curiosity, the hunger for growth that had once defined me? It was as if that version of Richard Barstow had never existed. One day I trudged down a crowded sidewalk, lost in my own world of self-pity. The city bustled around me, but I felt disconnected, from it all. My eyes glazed over the storefronts, not really seeing anything. The cacophony of car horns and chatter faded into a dull hum as I sank deeper into my thoughts. I was Richard Barstow, a person who should have been observing and absorbing the vibrant life around me, yet here I was, trapped in a bubble of my own making. The irony wasn't lost on me. A man who prided himself on understanding different perspectives, now blind to the myriad stories unfolding before him. I knew I needed to shake off this malaise, to reconnect with the world and find inspiration in the everyday. But for now, I allowed myself this moment of disconnection, trusting that soon, very soon, I would find my way back to the light. Then, something caught my attention. I stopped abruptly, causing the person behind me to bump into my shoulder with a muttered curse, but I barely noticed. In a store window, I saw what looked like a mandala. Intricate, colorful, mesmerizing. For a moment, I was transported back to my meditation days when such symbols held deep meaning for me. I blinked, and reality reasserted itself. It wasn't a mandala at all, just a children's toy box with a colorful maze printed on it. I shook my head, feeling foolish, and continued on my way. That night, I tossed and turned in bed, unable to shake the image from my mind. Suddenly, I bolted upright, wide awake. The children's maze floated before my eyes, vivid and demanding attention. Without thinking, I swung my legs over the side of the bed and padded across the room. My hands trembled as I reached for the light switch. In the sudden brightness, I saw my old meditation corner covered in a thick layer of dust. I approached it slowly, as if in a trance. My fingers trailed through the dust on my meditation cushion, leaving streaks in their wake. I picked it up, surprised by how familiar it felt in my hands. Lowering myself onto the cushion, I closed my eyes and took a deep breath. A rush of emotions hit me like a tidal wave. Regret for neglecting my practice. Hope for rekindling it. Fear of what I might discover, and a profound longing for inner peace. Tears pricked at the corners of my eyes as I remembered the sense of tranquility I'd once found here in this very spot. The familiar scent of sandalwood incense lingered faintly in the air, a ghostly reminder of countless hours spent in quiet contemplation. My body instinctively settled into the cross-legged position, muscle memory kicking in despite over a year of disuse. As I sat there, enveloped by the stillness of the night, I felt a subtle shift within me, as if long dormant parts of my psyche were slowly awakening. What happened to me? I whispered into the quiet room. The next day, I found myself in the office cafeteria mechanically spooning lukewarm soup into my mouth. The din of clattering cutlery and muted conversations faded into the background as my mind wandered back to last night's unexpected meditation session. Suddenly, a realization hit me with such force that I nearly dropped my spoon. The past year, which I'd written off as a failure, a regression in my spiritual journey, wasn't a setback at all. It was a crucial part of my transformation. I set down my spoon, my lunch forgotten. How could I have been so blind? I'd fallen into the trap of thinking that meditation, positive thinking, and manifestation mantras were some kind of quick fix, a shortcut to a better life. But life doesn't work that way, does it? This past year, with all its struggles and setbacks, wasn't a detour from my path. It was the path itself. The layoff, the new job, the feelings of shame and inadequacy, they weren't obstacles to overcome, but experiences to learn from. I chuckled softly to myself, earning a curious glance from a coworker at the next table. How arrogant I'd been, thinking I could transform my life overnight with a few meditation sessions and positive affirmations. Real change, lasting change, takes time. It requires dedication, perseverance, and yes, even failure. I shook my head, marveling at my own naivete. For months, I'd been chasing after quick fixes, convinced that if I just found the right mantra or visualization technique, everything would magically fall into place. But life, in its infinite wisdom, had other plans for me. It was as if the universe itself had conspired to teach me this valuable lesson, using my own missteps and disappointments as its teaching tools. And now, sitting here in the bustling cafeteria, I finally understood the true nature of personal growth, a slow, often painful, but ultimately rewarding journey of self-discovery. My year-long setback had taught me more about myself and life than all those months of meditation ever did. It showed me the reality of struggle, the importance of resilience, and the true meaning of growth. I realized that spiritual development isn't a straight line upward, but a winding path with peaks and valleys. As I resumed eating my now cold soup, I felt a sense of peace wash over me. For the first time in months, I felt truly grateful. Not just for the good times, but for the hard ones too. They were all part of the journey, all essential to my growth. Chapter 4. Experiencing the Shift. As I continued my meditation practice, I began to notice subtle changes in my life. It wasn't an overnight transformation, but a gradual shift that crept up on me like the slow changing of seasons. At work, I found myself approaching tasks with renewed focus and creativity. Problems that once seemed insurmountable now appeared as interesting challenges to be solved. My colleagues started to take notice, and soon I was being entrusted with more responsibilities. "Great job on that presentation, Richard," my boss said one day, clapping me on the shoulder. I smiled, realizing that the compliment didn't fill me with the desperate need for validation it once would have. My general mood improved too. The constant undercurrent of anxiety that had been my companion for so long began to recede. I found myself laughing more easily, appreciating small moments of beauty in my day-to-day life. As my practice deepened, I explored different meditation techniques. Sometimes I'd focus on my breath, letting it anchor me to the present moment. Other times, I'd practice loving kindness meditation, sending well wishes to myself and others. One particularly powerful session involved visualizing myself as a mountain, solid, immovable, weathering all storms. I am strong, I'd repeat silently. I am grounded. I am at peace. Another favorite mantra of mine became, I accept myself fully, just as I am. It was simple, but profound. As I repeated it, I felt layers of self-judgment and criticism begin to melt away. During one particularly profound meditation session, I experienced a vivid and transformative visualization. In my mind's eye, I saw myself as a majestic tree, my roots plunging deep into the rich, nurturing soil of the earth. My trunk stood strong and unwavering, while my branches reached gracefully towards the infinite expanse of the sky above. As this image crystallized in my consciousness, a powerful thought resonated within me. I am connected to all things. In that moment, I felt an overwhelming sense of belonging wash over me, as if I were simultaneously embracing and being embraced by the entire universe. The boundaries between myself and the world around me seemed to dissolve, leaving only a profound awareness of an intricate web of life that connects us all. This realization brought with it a deep sense of peace and purpose, reminding me that I am an integral part of something far greater than myself. These practices helped me accept my true self, flaws, strengths, and all. I began to see that my worth wasn't tied to my job title or bank account, but to my inherent value as a human being. That night, I drifted off to sleep with a sense of calm I hadn't experienced in years. As I slipped into unconsciousness, I found myself in a dream unlike any I'd ever had before. I stood in a vast, ethereal space filled with swirling mists and twinkling stars. Before me, a figure materialized. A woman, radiant, with an otherworldly glow. Her presence was both awe-inspiring and comforting. I am Sangrasa, she spoke, her voice resonating through my entire being. I come to you, Richard Barstow, to reveal the great secrets of human existence. I felt my breath catch in my throat as I realized the magnitude of what was about to unfold. Sangrasa raised her arms, and the misty space around us seemed to pulse with energy. Listen well, for the truth I speak bridges the gap between your individual mind and the vast cosmic consciousness. Her words flowed like poetry, each syllable imbued with profound meaning. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with consciousness, and the Word was consciousness. All that exists, all that has been, and all that will be springs forth from this infinite wellspring of being. You, Richard, are not separate from this cosmic dance. Your mind, your very essence, is a perfect reflection of the universal mind. The boundaries you perceive are but illusions, veils that obscure the truth of your divine nature. As above, so below. As within, so without. The microcosm of your being mirrors the macrocosm of the universe. Every thought you think, every emotion you feel, ripples through the fabric of existence, shaping the reality you experience. Know this. You are not merely a drop in the ocean, but the entire ocean in a drop. The power to create, to transform, to transcend, it all lies within you, waiting to be awakened. I stood transfixed, each word sinking deep into my soul, reshaping my understanding of reality. Sangrasa's sermon continued, her wisdom unfolding like the petals of a cosmic flower, revealing secrets I had always known, but somehow forgotten. I stood there enraptured by Sangrasa's words. She continued her cosmic sermon. Richard, the veil between your conscious mind and the infinite wisdom of the universe is thinner than you realize. Your journey of meditation and self-discovery has already begun to lift this veil. But now I shall reveal to you the deeper truths that lie beyond. The thoughts you think are not merely electrical impulses in your brain. They are living, vibrating energies that resonate with the very fabric of creation. Each thought is a seed planted in the fertile soil of the cosmic consciousness. What you focus on grows. What you believe becomes. Your mind is a garden, and you are its keeper. The weeds of doubt, fear, and limitation have taken root over many years. But fear not, for you possess the power to uproot them and plant anew. With each positive thought, each moment of gratitude, you cultivate a lush paradise of possibility. The universe responds not to your words, but to the vibration of your being. When you align your thoughts, emotions, and actions with the highest good, you become a conduit for divine inspiration. Ideas will flow through you. Opportunities will manifest before you, and synchronicities will guide your path. But remember, this power comes with great responsibility. For as you shape your own reality, you influence the collective consciousness of humanity. Your personal growth ripples outward, touching the lives of all those around you in ways you cannot yet comprehend. The challenges you have faced, the setbacks you have endured, these were not punishments, but invitations. Invitations to dig deeper, to push beyond your perceived limitations, to remember the truth of who you really are. You are not separate from the source of all creation. You are that source, experiencing itself through the unique lens of your human form. Embrace this truth. Let it permeate every cell of your being and watch as the world transforms before your very eyes. Sangrasa's words washed over me like waves of pure light, each one illuminating another hidden corner of my soul. I felt myself expanding, my awareness stretching beyond the confines of my physical form. It was as if a veil had been lifted, revealing the true nature of reality that had been obscured by years of conditioning and limited beliefs. I could sense the vast expanse of consciousness that permeated all things, the underlying unity that connected me to every being, every atom in existence. A profound sense of peace and belonging enveloped me, and in that moment, I knew that I was never truly alone or separate. I was an integral part of the cosmic dance, a unique expression of the infinite creative force that births universes. With this realization came a deep reverence and gratitude for the journey that had led me to this point, for every challenge and obstacle had served as a catalyst for my awakening. Chapter 5. Transformational Success. As I awoke from the dream, Sangrasa's words echoed in my mind, filling me with a profound sense of purpose and connection. The cosmic truths she revealed resonated deep within my soul, igniting a newfound passion for life. At work, I noticed subtle shifts in my interactions and performance. Tasks that once seemed daunting now felt manageable, even exciting. During a team meeting, I proposed an innovative solution to a long-standing problem. To my surprise, my colleagues embraced the idea enthusiastically. "Richard, that's brilliant," my supervisor remarked, her eyes widening with interest. "I want you to lead this project." A warm sense of accomplishment washed over me. For the first time in years, I felt truly valued and capable in my professional life. As I left the office that evening, a spring in my step, I decided to try the new coffee shop down the street. The aroma of freshly ground beans drew me in, and I found myself in line behind a woman with cascading auburn hair. She turned, revealing striking green eyes and a warm smile. "First time here?" "Is it that obvious?" I chuckled. "You've got that new customer glow," she teased. "I'm Emma, by the way." "Richard," I replied, feeling an instant connection. We chatted as we waited for our orders, discovering shared interests in meditation and self-improvement. Emma's eyes lit up when I mentioned my recent spiritual experiences. "I've been on a similar journey," she said, her voice filled with excitement. "It's not often I meet someone who understands." As we sipped our coffees, our conversation flowed effortlessly. Emma's insights and genuine curiosity about my experiences made me feel truly seen and understood. For the first time in a long while, I could envision the possibility of a meaningful relationship. When it was time to part ways, Emma hesitated. "I've really enjoyed talking with you, Richard. Would you like to continue this conversation over dinner sometime?" A warmth spread through my chest as I nodded. "I'd love that." As I walked home, I marveled at how my life was transforming. The cosmic wisdom Sangrasa had shared was already manifesting in tangible ways. I felt a deep sense of gratitude for this new chapter unfolding before me, filled with professional growth and the potential for a genuine connection with Emma. As I reflected on my recent experiences, a profound realization dawned on me. The true power of manifestation and positive thinking wasn't about magically conjuring money or material possessions out of thin air. It was about transforming myself from the inside out. I'd spent years chasing external validation, thinking success meant a bigger paycheck or a fancier title. But now I understood that the real magic happened when I changed how I related to myself and others. My newfound self-awareness and inner peace radiated outward, subtly influencing every interaction. I noticed people responding differently to me. Colleagues were more open to my ideas. Strangers smiled back more readily. It wasn't that I'd suddenly become more charming or clever. I'd simply become more present, more authentic. This shift in my energy seemed to create a ripple effect, touching every aspect of my life in ways I couldn't have imagined. Opportunities I'd never noticed before suddenly appeared, not because they materialized out of nowhere, but because I was finally attuned to see them. It was as if I'd been walking through life with blinders on, and now they'd fallen away, revealing a world rich with possibility. My improved relationships at work led to that unexpected project leadership role, a position I might have once doubted my ability to handle, but now, fueled by my newfound self-assurance, I embraced the challenge with enthusiasm. My colleagues, sensing this change in me, rallied around my vision with an energy that surprised us all. My openness to new experiences led me to that coffee shop where I met Emma, a chance encounter that blossomed into a deep and meaningful connection. Had I still been mired in my old patterns of thought, I might have hurried past, too caught up in my own worries to notice her warm smile or the spark of recognition in her eyes. Instead, I found myself pausing, drawn in by a sense of rightness I couldn't quite explain, but instinctively trusted. I realized that by cultivating positivity and mindfulness, I'd become a person who naturally attracted like-minded individuals and exciting prospects. It wasn't about forcing the universe to bend to my will, but about aligning myself with the flow of life. This understanding felt liberating. I no longer needed to obsess over specific outcomes or constantly push for more. Instead, I could focus on personal growth and genuine connections, trusting that the right opportunities would naturally follow. As I continued my meditation practice and journaling, I found myself less concerned with material goals and more interested in how I could contribute positively to the world around me. This shift in focus brought a deep sense of fulfillment that no amount of money or status could match. Chapter 6. Helping Others. As my journey of self-discovery deepened, I felt a growing urge to share what I'd learned with others. It wasn't about preaching or converting anyone to my way of thinking. Rather, I wanted to create a space where people could explore their own potential and find their unique paths to personal growth. I started small, inviting a few close friends over for informal discussions about mindfulness and meditation. To my surprise, they were eager to learn more. We'd sit in my living room, sipping tea and sharing experiences. I'd guide them through simple breathing exercises and talk about the transformative power of self-awareness. Word spread, And soon friends of friends were asking to join our little gatherings. Before I knew it, I was hosting weekly meetings in a rented community center space. I called it the Inner Light Circle, a name that came to me during one of my meditation sessions. As the group grew, I realized I needed to develop a more structured approach to teaching. I spent hours poring over books, attending workshops, and refining my own practice to ensure I could offer valuable guidance. I created simple handouts and exercises, always emphasizing that each person's journey was unique. One of the most rewarding aspects was witnessing the growth in others. There was Sarah, a stressed-out single mom who found peace through our mindfulness exercises, and Tom, a cynical IT professional who discovered a wellspring of creativity he never knew he possessed. I encouraged everyone to share their experiences, fostering a sense of community and mutual support. We celebrated each other's breakthroughs, no matter how small, and offered comfort during inevitable setbacks. As our community grew, I partnered with local yoga studios and wellness centers to offer workshops and seminars. I was amazed by the diverse group of people who showed up, from curious teenagers to retirees seeking new purpose in life. The most profound moments came when participants shared how these practices had changed their lives. One woman tearfully recounted how mindfulness techniques had helped her overcome a decade-long struggle with anxiety. A young man spoke about finding the courage to pursue his true passion after years of feeling stuck in a job he hated. As the Inner Light Circle continued to grow, I was constantly amazed by the diverse array of individuals who found solace and growth within our community. Each person brought their own unique story, their own struggles, and their own triumphs. There was Marcus, a high-powered attorney who'd been on the brink of burnout. He came to us with bloodshot eyes and trembling hands, confessing he couldn't remember the last time he'd slept through the night. Through our meditation practices and mindfulness exercises, Marcus learned to quiet his racing thoughts. Months later, he shared how he not only found balance in his work life, but had rekindled his passion for playing the guitar, something he'd abandoned years ago in pursuit of his career. Then there was Elaine, a retired school teacher who'd lost her sense of purpose after leaving the classroom. She initially came to our meetings out of sheer loneliness, but soon discovered a hidden talent for abstract painting through our creativity exercises. Watching her eyes light up as she described her latest artistic endeavor became a highlight of our gatherings. Amelia's story particularly touched me, a survivor of domestic abuse. She came to us broken and afraid. Our breathing exercises helped her manage panic attacks, while the supportive community gave her the strength to rebuild her life. Seeing her transform from a timid, withdrawn woman to a confident advocate for other survivors was nothing short of inspiring. These stories and countless others like them reinforced my belief in the power of self-discovery and community support. Each person who walked through our doors reminded me that the journey to self-improvement was not a one-size-fits-all approach, but a deeply personal exploration that could yield extraordinary results. Chapter 7, The Bigger Picture. As our Inner Light Circle grew, I began to see how the principles we practiced could extend far beyond individual growth. The ripple effects of personal transformation were reaching into our communities, workplaces, and even global issues. One day, Maria, an environmental scientist, shared how her newfound mindfulness had changed her approach to climate change advocacy. I used to be so angry, so frustrated, she said, but now I am able to communicate with empathy and patience. People are more willing to listen. Her words sparked a realization. If we could cultivate awareness and compassion on a larger scale, couldn't we address societal issues more effectively? I started envisioning a world where political leaders practiced mindfulness before making crucial decisions, where business executives considered the long-term impact of their choices on people and the planet. Small changes began to multiply. Amelia's advocacy was changing laws to protect abuse survivors. Marcus had introduced meditation to his law firm, improving work-life balance for dozens of colleagues. I saw a future where self-awareness and interconnectedness were as valued as technological advancement. A world where people listened to their inner wisdom and treated each other with kindness and respect. It wasn't just a dream. It was becoming reality, one person at a time. As I reflect on this journey, I'm filled with gratitude for the transformative power of listening to our inner voice and maintaining a personal practice. It's not always easy, and progress isn't always linear, but the rewards are immeasurable. To you, dear reader, I extend an invitation. Embark on your own journey of self-discovery. Trust that quiet voice within you. It may start as a whisper, but it holds the key to unlocking your true potential and creating positive change in the world around you. Concluding meditations. I settled into my meditation space, the familiar scent of sandalwood incense wrapping around me like a comforting embrace. As I closed my eyes, my breath deepened, and I felt the familiar shift in consciousness that signaled the beginning of my journey inward. In my mind's eye, I saw the shimmering figure materialize. Sangrasa, the messenger who had guided me through countless dreams and visions. Her presence filled me with a sense of profound gratitude. Sangrasa, I whispered in my thoughts. I am eternally thankful for your guidance on this incredible journey. The air around me seemed to vibrate with energy as I continued my meditation. You have shown me the path to my higher self, illuminating the way when I was lost in darkness. Through your wisdom, I have learned to listen to the quiet voice within, to trust in the infinite potential of the cosmic mind. Memories of my struggles and triumphs flashed before me. The initial doubt, the setbacks, and the moments of profound realization. Each step of the journey had been necessary, each challenge a lesson in disguise. You taught me that union with the cosmic consciousness is not a destination, but a continuous unfolding. Through your sermons, in my dreams, you revealed the interconnectedness of all things, the power of thought, and the true nature of reality. I felt a warmth spreading through my chest, a feeling of deep connection to something greater than myself. Sangrasa, messenger of dreams, bridge between the individual and the universal, I honor you. Your teachings have transformed not only my life, but the lives of countless others through the ripple effect of awakening. As I sat in silent reverence, I felt a sense of completion, of coming full circle. The journey that had begun with a whisper of discontent in my corporate life had led me here to a place of profound peace and purpose. Thank you, Sangrasa, for for showing me the way home to myself. One night, sometime later, I had an extraordinary vivid dream, as if information of particular importance was being given to me. As Sangrasa's radiant form hovered before me, her voice resonated with the power of cosmic truth. She began to unveil the sacred tenets of transmutology, each word etching itself into my consciousness. Listen, Richard, for these are the ways of the transmutology devotee. First, embrace the practice of daily introspection. Explore the recesses of your mind, questioning your thoughts, beliefs, and motivations. Only through ruthless self-examination can you uncover your true essence. Second, cultivate a state of constant awareness. Observe your thoughts and emotions without judgment, recognizing them as fleeting ripples in the vast ocean of consciousness. Third, engage in regular meditation to quiet the chatter of the mind and attune yourself to the whispers of the cosmic consciousness. Let the stillness reveal the profound truths that lie beyond the realm of thought. Fourth, honor your physical vessel through mindful nutrition and movement. The body is the temple through which the cosmic mind expresses itself in the material world. Fifth, practice radical acceptance of all experiences, both pleasant and challenging. Each moment is a gift from the cosmic mind, offering opportunities for growth and transformation. Sixth, cultivate compassion for all beings, recognizing the divine spark within each. Treat every interaction as a sacred encounter with the cosmic mind itself. Seventh, engage in acts of selfless service, for in giving of yourself, you align with the flow of universal energy and expand your consciousness beyond the limitations of ego. Eighth, study the teachings of transmutology diligently, seeking to understand the underlying principles that govern the cosmos and our place within it. Ninth, practice energy work to cleanse and balance your subtle bodies, allowing for greater receptivity to cosmic energies and higher states of consciousness. Lastly, commit to a lifelong journey of self-discovery and spiritual evolution. The path of transmutology is one of constant growth and transformation. As Sangrasa's words faded, I felt a profound sense of purpose. These practices weren't just rules to follow. They were keys to unlocking the vast potential within myself and connecting with the infinite wisdom of the cosmic mind.